I'm going to share the exact strategy that I use to make 6 figures trading forex and crypto, and it's way simpler than you think. I'm not reinventing the wheel with this strategy. It's probably one of the easiest strategies that not enough traders are using. It's commonly overlooked because it appears boring, but that's exactly why it works so well. The market rewards patience and precision, not an overcomplicated chart and chasing every move. What I'm about to show you is going to completely change the way you see breakouts and will bring you one step closer to consistent profits in the market. Everyone wants excitement, fast wins, and big moves. But in trading, more excitement often means more risk. My boring breakout strategy strips away all of the noise and focuses completely on setups where the odds are actually in your favor. It's not about how many trades you enter, but it's about the quality of those trades. In just a minute, I'll show you exactly what I watch for when preparing for a trade. And this makes all of the difference when it comes to consistent profits. Okay, so I now have my chart open. As you can see, we're looking at GJ. And the first thing I'm gonna do when I open my chart is take a look at the different time frames and see what key levels I can mark up. I'm looking for key levels of support and resistance that I can mark up, as well as any trend lines. And I'll typically do this using the daily, the 4-hour, and the 1-hour time frames. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with you guys. We're going to start off here by placing a resistance level up here where we see several rejections coming on up. I'm also going to place a support level coming on down here where we see price has come down and bounced off of several times. And then I do see an opportunity to place a trend line, so I'm going to go ahead and do that for you guys as well. Starting off down here at this wick, dragging it on up here. So that's what I do. I mark up my support and resistance levels and I mark up my trend line. I just mark these levels up on the daily time frame, but I also want to take a look and see how it's looking on the 4-hour and the 1-hour charts. So before we dive into how to actually use what I just showed you to find high quality setups, I'm going to take a look on the 1-hour and the 4-hour time frames and make sure this all looks good. Okay, so after taking a look at these other time frames, everything's looking good. There will be smaller support and resistance levels within this if you zoom in on the lower time frames. And if I'm scalping and looking for smaller setups, I will go to the lower time frames and do the exact same thing to find those smaller setups. But for now, I'm going to show you how I do this on the higher time frames to find those bigger swing trade setups. The reason I marked up these levels where I did is because we see major rejections at these levels several times in the past. If I move over to the left, we can see up here there are several rejections coming up towards this level. And then down here as well, if I were to move more over to the left, which you can see on the daily time frame pretty well, which I'll actually just go back to the daily, you can see those rejections moving over to the left over here as well. So these are stronger levels, and I use these strong levels to find high quality setups. So once I've checked out the different time frames and marked up any strong levels of support, resistance, or trend lines, I use it all to identify where breakouts might happen, but more importantly, where fakeouts most often trap traders. And in just a moment, I'll show you exactly how I spot and avoid those traps. The core of my strategy is watching how price behaves around these key levels. A true breakout isn't just a candle closing beyond a key level. You need confirmation that the market is ready to make a move before you hop in a trade. Some good confirmation to look out for is a spike in volume and a retest of a broken level. Increased volume indicates that there's more strength behind that move, leading to a better chance that that breakout is not a trap and will continue pushing in that direction. Waiting for a retest of a broken level can also be great confirmation because you see that price is holding up at that level and not wanting to break back through. The moment price crosses a level and breaks out, don't rush into a trade. Wait for a pullback or retest of that breakout level. This gives you a much safer entry and a tighter stop loss, which means more potential profit. This is the part where many traders fail. They see price break a level, they jump in too soon, and they get caught in fakeouts. I'm going to show you exactly how to avoid that. When I'm looking for these breakout trades, there's a few different ways and different kinds of setups that I'll look for. I look for trendline breakout setups as well as breakouts of support and resistance levels, sometimes even combining them. When I'm looking for a trendline breakout, this is going to be a reversal setup where I'm looking for the trend to break and see price reverse in the opposite direction. When I'm looking for these entries, I'm looking for the trend line to break, then I wait for a retest of that trend line before I eventually look for an entry. In this case, with the uptrend we see here, I'm looking for a sell because I'm looking for the break of this trend and the reversal to carry on down. When looking for an entry like this, we initially want to see that breakout of the trend, which we do see over here. Then I want to wait for a pullback towards that trend line, which we see over here. We see this pullback coming up towards resistance as well as the trend line, where I would then look for an entry to carry on down, right? Which we see a nice move coming on down here. So not only do I want to see a pullback towards the trend line, but in a sell situation like this, I want to see that pullback towards resistance, like up here. If we have a downtrend and I'm looking for a breakout, it's the opposite. I want to see the trend line break and a retest to that trend line, but in addition to the trend line, I also want to see that support retested. Once we see that retest towards the trend line and resistance in this case, like up here, I then look for that sell once we've seen that this level is holding up and struggling to break through. to carry on down for a nice move. Sometimes we'll see the move carry on down towards the final target, which would be this level down here. And sometimes it's not going to make a move all the way down, which is why it's very important to manage your trades and secure profit when you can. So that's one way I can find these entries off of these initial trendline breakouts. Another kind of entry I can find using this exact setup is looking for another trendline breakout sell exactly the way things are right now. We see this retest of this resistance once again. So if we saw this resistance level hold up, not break through, we could see this resistance respected as it was several times before. I could then possibly look for another sell to carry on down from this level. This is a strong resistance level, and if we see it struggle to break, that can indicate another move coming on down. And just like I said before, everything I'm saying for this example here of this sell setup, the opposite would apply if I'm looking at a buy setup. One more entry that I'll talk about using this trendline setup would be a continuation setup a little bit further along into this initial setup. Using this sell setup as an example, for me to have a continuation setup, I would need to see a pullback up to some resistance where I can then look for the sell from there. It really is the same kind of entry, just a little bit later in the setup. For one of these entries, I'm looking for a pullback to a lower level of resistance. So after an initial move coming down is made, I'm waiting to see a pullback up to a lower level of resistance. And if we see that level of resistance respected and struggle to break through, I could then look for another selling opportunity from there. An example of this is right over here where we see it pull back a little bit. It's not the best example because we do have some support right here. So I probably wouldn't be looking for an entry right here on this pullback. I'd want to wait for it below that level, which is also another breakout. But that's the general idea. I want to see a pullback to a lower level of resistance where I can then look for a sell to carry on down with the setup. And the last kind of entry or setup that I'm going to talk about with my strategy is just a normal support or resistance level breakout. This can be its own kind of setup, but it can also be used with these trend lines to help find great entries like I just explained, where I'm waiting for these breakouts at a lower level within the original trendline setup. These support and resistance level breakouts are very simple setups and very easy to learn. Pretty much everything I've explained regarding the trendline breakouts is exactly the same for the support and resistance level breakouts. The confirmation I look for, as well as how I avoid fakeouts, is all the same. The only difference is that instead of looking for the breakout of the trendline, like over here, I'm looking for a breakout of a support or resistance level. If I move over to the left, I can show you guys a clean example of a normal breakout setup. So right here, I have some resistance marked up. We could see a couple rejections coming on up towards this level over here and over here as well. We've also seen this level treated as a support once price was above it, but now that it's under it over here, it's a resistance. And then of course, over here, once it breaks, it becomes a support again. Over here, we see these several rejections showing clear signs of resistance here. And then we eventually over here see it give us that breakout. Once we have that breakout, it takes its time coming on down, but it gives us that pullback right down towards this level, testing it as a support. And off of that level, once we see it struggle to break through and hold up here, we see it then continue on up. These breakouts are very easy to find and they happen all the time. And the way I'd enter any of these breakout setups is exactly the same. I wait for the breakout. I then wait for the pullback, and if we see that pullback look clean and hold up at that support or resistance level, I can then get ready to enter my trade. Now let's talk about how I manage my trades once I've entered. Once I've entered my trade, it's all about managing risk. I set my stop loss just beyond that breakout level, and I make sure that my position size is within my risk tolerance. This video is not about risk management, but you can never have too many reminders to manage your risks safely. Once we see that price is moving in my favor and my trade is in profit, I then look to trail my stop loss and secure profit when I can. The goal isn't to hit a home run every single trade. It's to let my winners run as best I can and cut my losses as soon as possible. This strategy is very simple to execute. The one thing that most traders struggle with when it comes to this strategy is being patient and waiting for the right opportunities. With this boring strategy, I'm able to consistently profit from both the forex and crypto markets every single month. And you can do the exact same if you apply the few key things in this video. The strategy looks simple, almost too simple, and that's exactly why it works. When you're chasing every move and overcomplicating your chart and strategy, you're making trading way more difficult and risky than it needs to be. If you can get comfortable with a strategy like this, you won't just survive the market, but you'll actually start seeing some real gains. So start focusing on these breakout opportunities, be patient, and just watch as your trading results completely transform over time. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more trading videos like this and live trading every single week.